And now we are recording. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. It's the first webinar for me of the year. It's a special date today. Is it anyone's birthday today? Just tell me in the chat box if it's anyone's birthday. Why am I asking you this? What's special about today? It's a leap year and it's a leap day. That's right. It is February the 29th. Actually, it is my son's birthday tomorrow. So usually his birthday would be today, but it's tomorrow because we've got an extra day, the leap day today. So he has to wait one more day for his birthday. Okay, so this is the first time I've done a webinar on a leap day. Thank you, Amir. Thank you. That's very kind. All right, so today our session is all about AI, artificial intelligence, and this is a model lesson. We're going to be looking at content you could use in the classroom and teaching activities and techniques. Okay, it's a model lesson. If you don't know me, my name is Will Lachette, and I am a senior academic consultant for National Geographic Learning. I'm also a teacher trainer and an English teacher. I've been working in English language teaching since 2001. And for a lot of that time, I was teaching academic English. So this is one of the areas where I consider myself to have a lot of experience. In case you're wondering about this wonderful image you can see on your screen, this image is from the new edition of our academic program Pathways, and it is by an artist called Rashid Al-Shashai from Saudi Arabia, and this is found outside the city of Al-Ula, and these pyramids are they represent civilization and commerce. I like the image, so I used it. So yeah, the lesson we're doing today is from the new edition, the third edition of our academic program called Pathways, and we're looking at a listening, speaking, and critical thinking lesson. There is another strand, which is reading, writing, and critical thinking, but we are doing the listening and speaking one. The lesson we're looking at today from level 2 is aimed at A2 to B1 level students on the CEFR. And this lesson is in American English. The unit is called Technology Today and Tomorrow. So the whole unit is about technology. So there's some images on your screen. I want you to tell me, what do you recognize any of these things on the screen? Do they mean anything to you? Just type in the chat box for me. How might they be related to today's lesson? Yes, Ephraim said GPT. Charmaine said ChatGPT. It's the OpenAI. Yes, and ChatGPT it is made by the company OpenAI. Someone said Siri. Charmaine said Siri. That is the kind of circle one above it. So we've got two of them. Does anyone know what this one is at the bottom? The diagram of something. Do you know what that is? This one. I'll give you a clue. Does anyone know what that is? And it does look a bit like a projector. It's not a projector. 3D printer? No, it's not that. So this is, we're going to find out later on what it is. This is, yes, it's a robot. Well done, Kirill. It is a robot. Okay, so this is a robot arm. Okay. And how about the last one over here? You can see it says 3 letters at the top there. I'm going to give you a clue. This is very famous. It's not just any old computer. I'm going to give you a clue. The one on the left, the black one. But if I put this man here, you might remember what this is. And it has a specific name. Zoe Smith has got it. It is Deep Blue. And it's Gary Kasparov. So what happened? What is Deep Blue? How is Deep Blue related to Gary Kasparov? So Gary Kasparov was the world champion chess player. He's world champion for 12 years. What happened between him and Deep Blue, this computer? Gary was beaten by Deep Blue. So Gary, this was the first time that a chess grandmaster had been, and you're right, Panagiotis, you're right, Gary did win the first match, and the rematch, Deep Blue won. So this was an important moment where a computer beat a human at something that we said at the time, 1997, we said a computer will never beat a human at chess. And of course it did. So all of these things on the screen are related to the theme of technology and artificial intelligence. We're going to find out a little bit more about them during the lesson, okay? All right, so let's move on. We're going to move over to my classroom presentation tool. So or we call it the CPT. So the CPT is it is a digital tool which is available on our digital platform, which is called Spark. And it is basically a digital version of the textbook, but it has all of the tools and interactive activities to make your lesson more engaging and easier for you to teach. Rodney says, my school uses this platform, Spark. Right, that's great to hear, Rodney. Okay, so I'm going to start a new share, and we're going to go over into the classroom presentation tool. Here it is, and now you are looking at Spark. So this is the CPT. We can see all of our units up here for pathways, listening and speaking. And you can see that we've got all our units have different topics, and there's a lot of cross-curricular content here, and I think really interesting topics that your students would enjoy. So we're going to move over to our student book here, and we're going to go into lesson A, which is where we're going to start. So I'm going to load that up. I'm going to zoom in here. And the vocabulary, we start off with the vocabulary lesson. And this vocabulary, we're going to find all the way through the unit. It's going to be recycled all the way through. So this is our target vocabulary. Let's have I put myself a reminder here. So I wanted to show you this because this is, if some of you are already using Spark or the classroom presentation tool, this is an upgrade that we just launched. So we can now, Spark now has the ability to use text function. You can change the size, you can bold, you can put bullet points, you can change the color. So you can annotate the screen easily. And what's really great about it is that even on when you're using Spark in your browser, or if you're using it in the offline, it will remember your annotation. So I actually did this before the lesson, and it saves it. So I can, when I'm planning my lesson, I can put in all these extra notes and reminders, which are going to help me teach a better lesson. Okay, so it says poll, so I'm going to do a poll. So before we start, I'm going to ask you a question to find out if you know the answer. So let me just find my poll here, and I'm going to launch this poll. It's called Robot. All right, so you should see a poll up on your screen. And the question is, when do you think the word robot was first used? So we've got here a few options: 1900, 1920, 1940, 1960, and 1980. All right, so I'm curious to see. So the word robot, obviously robots are closely linked to artificial intelligence. A robot is something that can do a job for us, and able to do a job well, it needs to have a certain amount of intelligence, artificial intelligence. So let's see what you think. So I'm going to give you a few more seconds. You just need to click one of the answers. Oh, look at that. And Chao Wei Chang has put it is a Czech word. And Kirill also said, so a lot of you seem to be very knowledgeable about this this area. So let's end the poll and have a look what we said. Okay, and I can see that about half of you said 1920, and that is the correct answer. So this word robot was first used or first coined, a new word, in 1920. And I want to show you why I'm asking you this question. So I just click on here and we can see this is actually one of the resources that you can find in Spark under the teacher resources. We've got the teacher's book here. that you can open online. So you don't have, you can download it, but you don't have to. And this is a warm up, just a quick warm up activity for this lesson. And you can see here, it was first used in 1920 by a writer from the Czech Republic called Karel Čapek. Čapek, and there we go. So you get these little bits of information that you can share with your students, and you could, you know, do a bit more discussion on that. You could find out more about this guy, Karel Čapek, because it's a real person, right? Okay, so back into the lesson, we're going to do some vocabulary. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we're going to listen to this vocabulary. I want you to listen to it, and I want you to think about, if you're teaching this lesson, is there anything that you would want to help your students with this particular vocabulary? I'm not talking about the meaning, because we're going to guess the meaning from context later. Just in terms of the pronunciation, is there anything you would want to share with them to help them with the pronunciation? Okay, so let's listen, and then you can give me some feedback.
Exercise A, page 24.
Affect.
Capable of.
Command.
Concern.
Data.
Pattern.
Privacy.
Reduce.
Reliable.
Trend.
Great, wonderful. So yeah, I see a couple of you have put some comments in here. Susie and Charmaine both told me we could put the stress in. I think that's really important. So here we've got the verb to affect. Okay. So we'd put the stress here. Okay. Here we've got the noun, a command. We've got privacy. Okay, so we'd put the stress here on the first syllable. So we might want to put in our stress there. We could do the phonetic transcription. We could, okay, and we could write that on the screen. I'm not going to try that with my mouse because it's going to look bad, but certainly we could do that. There are a couple of these words in here. So this is an American English title, but there are a couple of words in here I think might be worth teaching our students, that there are other pronunciations here. Are there any that stand out to you that might be pronounced different in other places? One in particular I think sounds very different. Yeah, so this one, privacy, also pronounced as privacy in British English. And this one here, so this one is pronounced as data, or data in American English, but in some parts of the world this is pronounced as data. So I think that does sound very different, doesn't it? So it might be worth showing us students that some of these words, even though we're focusing on American English here, giving them a bit of an international perspective about how other people might be saying it. They don't have to necessarily be able to pronounce those pronunciations, but they should be aware, they should understand them, they should have the receptive knowledge that they might hear someone say something different. Okay, great. So yeah, a few things we could do there with the vocabulary. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of my tool there and close this box here. And we're now going to have, so now we've looked at our vocabulary, we're going to use the vocabulary and we're going to learn, we're going to do a listen activity and learn a little bit about the history of AI. So there's kind of three parts to this. The first thing, we're going to listen. You're going to try and fill in the gap here using one word, and it's one of those vocabulary words that we just learned, the target vocabulary. We're going to put it in there, okay? Then we're going to discuss a little bit about these important events. So let's listen, and then you tell me which word goes in the gap.
Exercise B, meaning from context, page 24.
Timeline of Artificial Intelligence, AI, History. 1950. In I, Robot, a book by Isaac Asimov, the makers of robots give the robots a command not to harm humans.
Okay, I'm going to stop that there. So let's have a look in the chat box. Okay, so I, Robot, book by Asimov. And they give the robots what? They give the robots they give a command, okay, command not to harm humans. Okay, so this is something in science fiction. It's very common, isn't it, that we see films where we have machines, robots, artificial intelligence trying to kill humans, trying to take over the world. So this is famous in 1950. It's one, I think, the first instance where we have someone thinking about this possibility that machines could take over and giving them a command that they shouldn't do it. Okay, so it's almost a warning about the future of artificial intelligence. Let's listen to number 2.
1950s. Computers become an important tool for doing calculations quickly and are more reliable than humans.
Okay, number 2. Everyone's putting it in. Number 2 is reliable. Now, actually, the activity here is students are supposed to be working out what these words mean, okay? So we can talk about this sentence and then we can kind of work out what it means. So first thing I think interesting here is that this word computer that we all know, so a long time ago, several hundred years ago, the word computer had a different meaning. Does anyone know what a computer was 200 or 300 years ago? So I'll give you a clue. It was a person. And it was a person, someone's put calculator, you're pretty much there. A computer a long time ago was a person who had a job working out calculations. So a human calculator, someone doing maths problems, okay, maybe working in accounts or something like that, right? So that was what a computer used to be. In the 1950s, computers, as we know today, machines, became better at doing that than people. So at that point, we started calling the machine a computer, and those people who had that as a job probably lost their jobs, and we didn't need them anymore. So they were replaced by this technology, okay? Now, this word reliable, what does it mean? It says here that the computers could do it quickly, and they could do it more reliable. They were more reliable than humans. So what do we think that word means, reliable? That's great. So Shaman's saying no mistakes. Okay, so without making mistakes. So if something's reliable, it means that we can trust it. It means we think it is, well, you tell me, is it something wrong or is it something right if it's reliable? It's legit, okay? It's legitimate. Yeah, it's something right. It's if it's reliable, it's something right, something we can trust. Okay, exactly, right. So yeah, so we can have a look at this word, have a look at the sentence, try and work out what we think it means. Let's have a look at the next one, 1960s.
1960s. An industrial robot called Unimate begins to replace human workers in automobile manufacturing. It starts a global trend.
Okay, how about 1960s? What is it? It is a global trend. Okay, so that robot I showed you earlier, the robot arm, that was the Unimate robot. And this is one that first appeared in factories and manufacturing, and it could do simple repetitive movements, and it could do it better, it could do it faster than humans. And after you'd bought it, you didn't need to pay it. So what happened? What do you think everybody did when, if you've got a factory next door to that guy's factory, and then suddenly he's not paying his workers anymore because he's got this robot to do it? What are you going to do? What are you going to go out and buy? You're going to copy it. You're going to buy that as well. And that started off this global trend. So what does the word trend mean? A trend is something, it starts happening in one place, and then what happens next? They follow the trend. So it's something that happens and it keeps happening and it spreads and it starts happening everywhere. And everyone is loving it. Okay, as Seri said there. Kirill says, I'm actually afraid of robots replacing us, teachers, just as they did to those computer people. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to be replaced. I think we need to, I'll talk about it in a minute, okay? Because I was going to talk about that in just a moment. So yeah, trend, people follow. Okay, wonderful. What happened in 1997? Let's find out.
1997. The computer Deep Blue wins a match against a world chess champion because it could process information quickly. Deep Blue's abilities affected all technology and helped start the age of big data.
Good. So Deep Blue, we talked about this already, Gary and Deep Blue. Deep Blue's abilities affected all technology and helped start the age of big data, or data, if you prefer. I find this one really interesting, I have to say. So Deep Blue, I remember this happening. I was at school when this happened, and I was interested in it at the time. And I just did a bit of reading about it. Almost, so this was a huge moment in technology that it says it started the age of big data. Deep Blue was able to analyze huge amounts of data, in this case, huge numbers of possibilities, and filter through and find a pattern in these millions and millions of possible eventualities and find a pattern that would help it to win. And this this technique that they used has basically been used all the way up until today. So this is how artificial intelligence works. It's looking for patterns in huge amounts of data, and Deep Blue was the first one to do this really effectively. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. Something else interesting here. So where we're looking here, Unimate. So Unimate was an early example, or in fact, computers and Unimate were early examples of a machine being able to do something physically that a human, better than a human, right? Deep Blue is an example of where artificial intelligence could do mentally better than a human. Deep Blue is a chess computer. That's right, Narmin. Exactly. Okay, next, Siri. Getting more modern, 2011.
2011. Siri, a digital assistant, is part of the newest Apple iPhone. Siri learns from its users' patterns of behavior and presents its users with the most useful data for them.
Okay, so Siri learns from its users' patterns. Okay, I just mentioned patterns just now. It learns from its users' patterns of behavior. So Siri, it learns what you do every day. So it knows, okay, in the morning, you're going to ask for this, okay? In the afternoon, you're going to search for something to do with this. And it learns from that and understands you, and then it can help you better. So the word here is pattern. Great, next one.
2021. Universities in the USA and China show that AI can recognize a type of cancer and could reduce the workload of busy doctors.
All right, now this one, it is reduce. Okay, so reduce the workload of busy doctors. So earlier we were talking about how AI technology may be replacing people. How is this one different? And it is reduce, make it less. Thank you, Seri. How is this different to the other examples like Deep Blue or Unimate? Right, Mei Chen's got it. So this is an example of how AI is going to help people. So it's not about it scaring us and taking our jobs. This is about AI supporting a human in its job. And if we think about it, this is really important. So AI can recognize cancer cells. So you can put some cells there and the computer can scan them, and it will look and identify very accurately this is a type of cancer cell. So for a human to do that, it would be very time consuming. Working with the microscope would take a long time. So if we get a computer AI to do that, it's giving the doctor more time. Now, what could the doctor do with that extra time that would be something useful for a doctor that a computer or machine couldn't do? What could the doctor do rather than looking through the microscope all day? Okay, exactly, Charmaine, they could talk to the patient, right? They could give you more time. You know, when you go to the doctor and they give you 2 minutes to see them, and then you've got to be out the door, and they speak to you really, really fast, and nobody knows what they're talking about. They don't write anything down. They kick you out, right? Instead of doing that, if they had more time, they could explain things to us, right? And they could make us feel better. And they could give us more human support, which is what we want from our doctors. So I think this is a great example to go back to whoever said earlier about AI taking our jobs as teachers. I like to view it this way, that AI is going to support us so that we have more time for that human aspect of teaching. If we can get AI to do all our marking and all our exams for us, we can spend more time planning our lessons, and we can spend more time in class helping our students, right? So this is how I hope AI is going to work for us as teachers. As you say there, yeah, it modifies the workplace, Charmaine. Yeah, we can give moral support, right? We can help them. Okay, 2022, what's next?
2022. UNESCO publishes Recommendation on the Ethics of AI. The document outlines 10 concerns about AI, including privacy, safety, and fairness.
Okay, so here, another aspect we need to think carefully about, right? So UNESCO tells us that there are some concerns, there are some worries, there's some dangers about using AI, including our privacy, as one of our keywords, safety and fairness. So I was just talking just now about how AI is going to help us, but of course, there are also the flip side, the other side of the argument. We also need to be worried about our safety, our privacy, and fairness. So these are things that we need to consider when we talk about AI, or just, the internet in general. Okay, whenever you use the internet, you need to be careful of your privacy. We don't want someone stealing our information and accessing our bank account, for example, and taking all our money. Be careful. All right, last one.
2022. OpenAI launches ChatGPT, a program that's capable of natural language processing tasks such as text generation and language translation. As more data is collected, ChatGPT gets more precise or accurate.
Fantastic. And a lot of you have got the answer here. It is capable of, right? So ChatGPT, type into the chat box for me. How many of you have used ChatGPT before? Type yes or no if you've used ChatGPT. Yes, 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 yes. A lot of you are using it, right? Do you know? So this is interesting. As more data is collected, ChatGPT gets more precise. So why is that true? Well, everything you put into ChatGPT is then part of ChatGPT's database, right? So anything you put in there, it knows. Okay, it becomes the database. So if we look back to the previous one about privacy, safety, and fairness, when you are using ChatGPT, what should you be careful of? If ChatGPT, right, can remember everything that you put in there, you need to be careful of putting in sensitive personal information, okay? Because then that becomes part of ChatGPT, okay? So don't put anything, your bank details, don't put anything important, any personal stuff, don't put it in there, okay? Anything private, don't put it in. Also a good point there, someone said that it could be misinformation, right? I mean, people can be feeding it anything, right? I think the AI is good enough to kind of filter most things which are not true out, but you definitely need to be careful not to put stuff that you want to keep private, okay? All right, now I actually have, we're going to use ChatGPT in a minute. I actually have two here. So I have OpenAI ChatGPT, but I also have one, and you can see that one there is 3.5, right? So this one here, ChatGPT, the free one, is ChatGPT 3.5. I have another one, which is from my company, Cengage. We have GPT-4, and I use this one. If I'm doing anything for work, I will use this one, okay? Because I don't want my work stuff to be part of this open sourced AI. So I keep everything separate. Okay. If you're just planning stuff for your lessons, probably it doesn't matter that much. All right, let's get back into the lesson, okay? What did you think? You can tell me. I'm interested in what you think about this. I found this vocabulary section very interesting. What did you think about it? Learning like this timeline about these different important events. How do you feel about that? Seri says, I love it. I love it too. Yeah, I think, this is part of what we want to do at National Geographic Learning. We're teaching English, we're teaching vocabulary, we're teaching them how to use the language, but we want to teach things which are important, right? So we want to teach English through content that is important, interesting, engaging. Okay, so and this is how we're trying to do it, by using real, authentic material. And I think, when I think about a lot of the things I taught in the past, the textbooks I used, they were so boring, and it was just like weird, made up stuff. And we don't do that. We do real, interesting things. Okay, so we're not going to go through and do all the other activities. We could practice our vocabulary here. We could, we can do the definitions there. I want to have a look at this. So we've got a vocabulary skill here. It's talking about collocation. So I want to quickly do this activity with you. So collocation is, it's a vocabulary thing. It kind of looks like grammar, but it's not. So a collocation are two words which go together. So I like to call them word friends. Okay, so in this case, we're looking at an adjective and a preposition, or a noun plus a preposition. And as you know, prepositions are very tricky. They're difficult in English, and people often make mistakes. So one thing we can do, we can learn, when we learn a word, we can learn the preposition, the dependent preposition that goes with it. This is called collocation. Okay, so let's have a look at this activity here. And you can tell me what the collocations are. So remember, we're looking for noun plus preposition, or adjective plus preposition. So if I look at the first one, it says, what is one thing you are afraid of? So can anyone, Belan has got it. So we've got here afraid of. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that with my big highlighter. In the classroom, I'd get a student to come up and do this for me. Number 2, what is something new that you are interested in doing? Interested in. Now this is interested. It's a word where I found many of my students made mistakes with the preposition. Have you ever noticed any of your students using a different preposition with interested? Interested. Have you ever noticed a different preposition they use? Just curious. If you, on, Charmaine. That's what I used to find. A lot of my students say, I'm interested on something. Interested about, right. A lot of my students would say about. I'm interested about that. I'm interested on. Okay, so this is something, it's really important. And we're going to check that in a minute, okay? Let's have a look at the other ones. We've got, some of you already typed it in, famous for. Any others here? How about number 4? Someone's already done it. Conclusions about. What's interesting here is we can see another collocation. So draw conclusions. That is a very strong collocation in English, but draw is a verb. So this would be a verb plus noun collocation. So it is a collocation, but it's not the one we are looking for. We're looking for noun plus adjective. Okay, next one. Likely to. Okay, good. Number 6. Anyone see? Yes, pattern of. Okay, a pattern of. And notice here again, we're still focusing on that initial vocabulary that we learned at the beginning, right? Last one. Access, right? Access to. Great. And another collocation would be have access, right? But again, that have access would be a verb plus noun. Okay, so we're looking for preposition. So we put those in. Let's check our answers. And we can see, well done. Okay, congrats. You've got all of those correct. Okay, so nice little activity. And we're now going to go over to, I put this reminder here to remind myself. We're going to go over and we're going to check some of these collocations. Okay, so let's go over to ChatGPT. So let's go to ChatGPT and we're going to type in and we're going to get GPT to help us. Okay, so what we can type in now, the prompt is very important when we're using this, but we can start off with a simple prompt. So we're going to say, I'm going to say which prepositions collocate with interested. Okay, I'm going to type that in. All right, and ChatGPT, within seconds, it gives me this answer. Okay, interested in. This is the most common preposition. Good, I agree. And it gives us one example. I'm interested in learning languages. Number 2, interested about. Okay, it says used to express curiosity or desire. Okay, number 3, interested to. He seems interested to join the club. And interested for. Okay, less common. Now, if you look at those 4, are there any there that you feel a bit not sure about that? Anything not sure that's right from my knowledge? Interested to? Okay, interested for. Yeah, I would agree. Let's have a look. We mentioned this one earlier, so I'm going to type in here. So I'm going to type this in. Is interested about a collocation in standard English? Let's see what it says. Right. So now ChatGPT suddenly, although it put it as number 2 on the list, now I've asked it specifically, it's changed its mind. It said here, it may not be considered grammatically correct in all contexts. Okay, and it now tells me it's typically better to use interested in. So what can we learn here? Well, first of all, the most important thing, don't just believe everything ChatGPT tells you. Okay, and remember earlier we said you need to learn, you need to use it carefully. With any technology, you need to use it carefully, right? So I can check it like this. On the whole, it's going to give me some good, useful information, but we might need to check it. So how do we check it, right? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of ways you can check this. First way you can check it is the old-fashioned way. You can use a dictionary. And if we go to, I'm using the Oxford Learners Dictionary here. If I go there and I type in interested, it's going to show me here interested in, right? Interested in somebody, something, and it's going to show me more than that. It's going to show me interested in doing, so it's got more information there, and it's also going to show me interested to do something. I would be interested to hear your opinion. Okay, I'm interested to see what will happen next, and that is a common usage. Okay, different usage, but there's nothing here about interested about or interested for, which to me I wouldn't want to teach that. I don't feel that those are correct. I mean, I would teach these 2. So we can check it there. One other way we can check this, this is Google Books Ngram Viewer. So this is also using artificial intelligence, but this is an older program. And this is a corpus. So what this is going to do, when I type something in here, it's going to check every single book that Google has as a digital book. It's going to check it for how often these combinations of words come up. So if I type in interested in, I put a comma, and then I type in interested about, and then I hit enter, it's going to search for that, and it's going to show me this graph, a nice visual representation. We can see interested in is right up here, and interested about is right down there, almost at 0, which shows us that this is not a great collocation to use. Okay. So yeah, here's a couple of simple ways that you can check the information you're getting from ChatGPT. Okay. All right, let's get back into our lesson. And we're going to move over into the next part. So the next part of the lesson is listening. Okay, and we have this listening about artificial intelligence. We've got some really interesting questions about using critical thinking to get ready for this lesson. What AI do you use? What works well? What problems do you have? How do you feel about AI? Do you have any concerns? And what do you hope AI will be able to do in the future? I wish we had time to go through all of these, but we don't have a lot of time, so we're not going to. Okay, but I'm sure you agree these are interesting questions. So the listening lesson, it has an academic skill, which is note-taking. So we're going to give our students practice at this very important skill at university, taking effective notes. We go through explaining you don't write full sentences, you're trying to pull out the key words. And we're then going to give our students practice at doing this in an activity. I'm going to give you some practice at doing this. So I'm going to use, this is a nice little trick. I'm using a Microsoft app called Snip and Sketch. I just type in here, Snip and Sketch, and it just pops up. So I'm going to get a new Snip and Sketch, and I'm going to take a snip there. And that's going to give me a little screen grab, right? Now, actually, I could, if I wanted to, I could actually use this as a whiteboard. So I can write in here, and you could do this yourself. Right? You could write in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it, and it's going to save it into my downloads. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the chat, and I am going to put that as a file for you. Okay, so I've just sent that in the chat box. So now you have this, so you can open that. So while you're watching the video, you could also have this open so that you can see the questions. Okay, so that way we can get a nice full screen, and you can also have access to the questions. Okay, so you've got the question, so let's go and do the activity. All right, so we're going to click in here. Now, this is a listening, right? This is a listening activity. We could just do it as a normal listening. But what we've also got in Pathways here on the CPT in Slack, we also have a kind of video that we've made to go along with it to make it a bit more engaging, okay? So we're going to watch the video, and you're going to go through. Your task is to complete these gaps using 1 word per gap, okay? You're note-taking. All right, so let's watch, and I hope you enjoy.
I guess we have all heard of artificial intelligence, or AI, but people have different ideas about what AI is. Dr. Ali, how do you define artificial intelligence?
Sure, that's a great place to start. There are actually a couple of categories of AI. The first is weak AI. This means that the AI does one job, like recommending shows or movies for you to watch.
So I guess anytime I get recommendations when I'm shopping online or looking at social media, that's an example of AI doing its job.
Yes, exactly. Digital assistants like Siri are another great example of weak AI. Although they are quite advanced, they still do only one job: responding to your questions and commands.
So if there's weak AI, does that mean there's also strong AI?
You bet. Strong AI has intelligence and is capable of doing complicated jobs on its own. We have not achieved strong AI yet, and some people think we never will, because they don't think AI will ever be able to think the same way humans can.
It sounds like strong AI is the type of AI that most people are afraid of.
Yes. When people talk about AI controlling the world, they are talking about strong AI. It makes for great movies, but it's not a real concern in my opinion.
Getting back to weak AI, does it all work the same way?
Great question. Basically, yes. All current AI works in the same way because it uses data to find patterns. For example, when we use a browser like Google to look for something on the internet, the results that we see are chosen carefully. The browser has learned which websites are the most popular or most reliable, as well as which websites we visit the most often. This reduces the number of results and prevents us from seeing a lot of websites we're not really interested in.
In other words, the browser draws conclusions about what we're looking for on the internet.
Right. Another way AI works is by finding patterns in spoken and written language. This is called speech recognition. Digital assistants use speech recognition. So does the autocorrect program on your phone.
And those things work pretty well. They are not perfect, though. I think everyone has a story about autocorrect changing the spelling of a word to something we did not mean.
You're right about that. Artificial intelligence is certainly not perfect, but it's improving every day.
I believe that. I would love to know more about trends in AI. Can you talk to us a little about that?
Ah, the exciting part. Well, one way that AI is being used is in medicine. For example, computers can recognize a kind of cancer. And in education, online learning programs with AI can give students the kind of support they need. Review and practice, or more advanced tasks. They customize learning and make the education experience more personal. But privacy is also a trend in AI because it's a big concern. A lot of our personal data is collected online. We all need to understand how our data is being used. When companies have our personal data, they can customize the service they give us. But they can also cause problems if they don't keep our data safe. The future of AI is very exciting, but we all need to know how it affects our lives.
Okay, I'm going to unmute myself. I hope you enjoyed the. I'd say it's not really a video. It's an audio, right? This is a listening lesson, but we've made these videos just to make them a bit more, make it a bit more interesting. You wouldn't have to use the video. Yeah. So just tell me there. What did you think? Did you learn anything there? Georgie says, yes, very interesting. Yes, I did. Yeah, me too. I learned quite a lot. I didn't even know about weak and strong AI. So since I watched this video about a month ago, when I first started thinking about this webinar, and I've been looking into it a lot since then. This video has really sparked a lot of interest for me, and I've learned a lot since I've watched this video. So I think it's a great introduction, pitched at a good level for people to find out and learn more about AI. Charmaine said, I appreciate the variance in the accent. Yes, of course, that's something that, we at National Geographic Learning, we feel is very important, that we want our students to be exposed to different accents from all around the world, because in real life, they're not only going to be speaking to people from America, okay, or Britain, right? They're going to be speaking, it could be someone from anywhere in the world. So we want to reflect that in our materials. Okay, so let's see if we can go through, maybe you can tell me the answers. So you filled in these notes. Number one, weak AI, what does it do? It does one what? It does one job, that's right, good. Second, strong AI has what? It has intelligence, that's right, and does tasks on its own. Can you tell me, what about ChatGPT? Is that weak AI or strong AI? ChatGPT, is it weak or strong? Medium. It's medium, it's in the middle. Okay, right. So ChatGPT is weak. Most of you are saying weak. Why is it weak? Did anyone catch that? It's weak because, well, the answer is right here. It only does one job, and that job is, as Jalita says, it's to answer our commands, right? ChatGPT can't do anything unless you enter a prompt, unless you tell it or ask it to do something. It can't do anything, okay? So that is why it is weak AI. Do we have strong AI? Is that a real thing, strong AI? Not yet, okay? And some people think we'll never have it, okay? Strong AI is one that it can work by itself, okay? It can do things by itself. This is the one people find scary. Okay, number three, weak AI, how does it work? It uses what? It uses data. So this is what I was talking about earlier with Deep Blue, okay, where this all started. It uses data to find patterns. Number 4, finds patterns in spoken and written language, okay, just like ChatGPT. That's how it answers your questions. Number 5, trends in AI, right? Okay, so notice here, all of this vocab, it's going back to the vocabulary we learned at the beginning of the lesson, okay? All the way through the unit, this is being recycled. Number 6, in medicine, computers can recognize cancer. Good, we talked about this earlier. Number 7, in AI equals more customized and personal. So this is very relevant to us in our field. In education, AI can make customized and personal learning. If any of you have used Duolingo, it does that, right? When you make a mistake, it gives you more practice on that mistake, yes? So this is something that's already happening in education. How about number 8? Concerns with AI are to do with privacy. Okay, don't forget, okay, this is something that's really, really important. Okay, so we've got lots of nice information there. We're recycling our vocabulary and we're learning about AI. We could then go in, there's a lot of questions here, true or false, to go into more details, make sure the students understand all the concepts here. We're not going to do that. We don't have much time. There's more listening here where we're getting details. This is nice. Look, so you notice here, it's more note taking, 1 or 2 words. But if you notice, this also matches exam questions, like like IELTS exam, for example, has this type of question. So they're also getting exam practice in here. And then we have some personalization talking about what we've just learned about. I wanted to use, I'll show you another use of ChatGPT. So what I think a nice activity here, where it says, what questions do you still have about AI? I think an obvious question is it good or bad for us? Okay, so if I ask you in the chat box, can you tell me, what do you think? ChatGPT, or not just chat, artificial intelligence, is it good for us or is it bad for us, in your opinion? Is it positive or negative? How do you feel? Mine is good and bad, could be both ways. Can you give me an example of how it's good or how it's bad? So we can say good or bad, but why? Can you give me an example? Yep, depends on the user. So give me one way in which it's good. Great. Deanne's got one. Saves time. Right. Bad. Takes away jobs. Gives us more options. Right. So we're getting some ideas here. Now, I don't know if you found this. You probably have. If I'm giving this kind of question to my students, it's often difficult for them to articulate their ideas, or maybe they're nervous about sharing their ideas. They don't want to get it wrong. Okay. So we'll do a brainstorm like this and think of some ideas, but we can also go back to our friend ChatGPT and we can ask ChatGPT to help us. So what we can do, I did it here. I went to ChatGPT and I said to ChatGPT, can you give me 5 positive and 5 negative points about AI written in simple A2 CEFR language? This is important because otherwise it will be too complicated, too difficult to understand. Remember, this is an A2 lesson. And then it's given me these. So it's given me 5 positive points: helpful in everyday tasks, improves efficiency, assists in healthcare, enhances safety, promotes innovation. And then I've got 5 negative points here. So what we could do, I could get my students' ideas, then I could show them these ideas I've generated from ChatGPT, and I could get them to discuss. Do you agree with these? Do you disagree? I could even simplify these. If they're too difficult, I can ask ChatGPT, can you simplify these? Okay, should we do that here? Right, and so I can make it even easier to understand, right? So remember, the skill in using this is your skill as a prompter, okay, to give to make it so it's at a point where your students can use it. Here we go. Job loss. One of you said that sometimes AI takes away jobs from people. That's something our students can definitely understand, right? So if your students have problems generating ideas, why not use ChatGPT to give them the ideas and then they can discuss them, right? Rather than everyone sitting there in silence with nothing to say, use this. There we go. It takes 10 seconds and they've got something to talk about, right? It's a great resource. Okay, so we're pretty much out of time. I wanted to show you one more thing, but I really don't have time to do it, unfortunately. I'll just show you what I was going to do, which is this. So we have this lovely final task here at the end of the unit, where we're going to do a discussion, okay? And this is focusing on collaboration skills. So something really good about Pathways as a program. We've been talking about the 4 C's for years, decades, right? The 4 C's: collaboration, cooperation, okay? Critical thinking, creativity. But how do you teach these things? How do you teach collaboration, right? So in Pathways you do. So we show you, we give you ideas how to do it. So one way that you can collaborate is by the language you use. When someone says an idea, you acknowledge it, and then if you disagree, you do it politely. This helps us to collaborate, right? So what the idea of this activity is, students, they brainstorm their own ideas. What makes a human intelligent? What makes a machine intelligent? Do you think machines will be able to think as humans can? And then they share their ideas. When they hear an idea from their partner or from their group, they then acknowledge it, and maybe they disagree if they don't agree. That can work very well, but just like I said a minute ago, with some students, they find this very difficult. They find it awkward to disagree with something that someone they don't know very well is saying to them. So again, what we can do here, we can go back to ChatGPT and we can ask ChatGPT to do something like this, right? So what I asked it to do, I said, here, ChatGPT, give me 20 simple statements about AI that most people will disagree with. So I'm just setting up sentences because the target language here, I want my students to acknowledge and disagree politely. Acknowledge, disagree politely. So I want to do them to do it as many times as we can. So I'm going to give them these sentences and they're going to read them to a partner, and every time they acknowledge, disagree, right? Or maybe they agree, they can agree as well. I thought these were a bit too difficult, so I asked GPT, please simplify them, A2CFR. And then I've got these ones. AI can't be creative. AI never makes mistakes. AI will solve all human problems, right? So here what we've done is we've taken the fear out of this activity. We've taken the anxiety out of it, because now they can just read something out and they're focused on the task, which is to acknowledge and disagree, okay? That's going to work really well. I used to do this myself. I used to write the prompts and cut them out. What you can do here, if I just go back here, look, you can just put it on the clipboard and then I can just put it in here, right? There we go. And within a few seconds, I've got an activity that I can use in the classroom, right? It's fantastic. What a great resource. Okay, I'm pretty much out of time. So we're going to go back into my PowerPoint so I can kind of wrap up here. I'll share. I will share. Maybe I will just share screen like this. And I don't need to go into the presentation. So just want to kind of wrap up. So the content that we've used today is from the new edition, the 3rd edition of Pathways, which is our academic skills program for academic English. There are 2 strands: listening, speaking, and reading and writing. Today we used the listening and speaking, okay? Pathways comes on our digital platform, Spark. The classroom presentation tool we use today is one of the tools you will find on Spark, but it's not the only one. There are a whole range of tools which are going to support you as a teacher the whole way through your job, okay? And these tools are going to make your lessons better. They're going to make your job as a teacher easier. They're going to make you a more effective teacher. It's going to organize all your data. It's going to store data about your students. All the homework they do goes into a grade book, so you can look up how they're doing. How's this particular student that I see once a week, how are they doing on reading? You can filter the gradebook and it shows you all of their reading scores for the whole program, right? Fantastic. So much information. And it, using AI, it's kind of using some weak form of AI. So yeah, this I wish I'd had this when I was teaching. I didn't have it. This is a new thing that that is a big part of what we do at National Geographic Learning. If you would like more information about the program that we looked at today, I'm going to drop a link. I'm going to drop a link in the chat box for you. So this is our website. While I'm loading this, please feel free to ask some questions. There's one here about webinar, getting a certificate. Yeah, don't worry. We are going to send you a certificate, and you will get an email tomorrow by the end of the day. And in that email, you will have a link to the recording, and you will have an e-certificate. Okay, not sure why it's taking so long to load our web page when I've been using all these other things with no problem at all. It's just taking forever. Okay, well, we'll wait there. While we're waiting for that, I'll show you something else which I wanted to do. Yeah, so please, if you've enjoyed the webinar today, please come to some of our other webinars. We've got a whole load coming up. Go to our webinar page, okay, webinars.eltngl.com. And you will see these upcoming webinars. There's another one which is kind of hidden. So you've got these boxes here. If you click on this hosted by and go to Asia, you'll see another one which is about teaching phonics to very young learners. And that's using content from our Australian partners, Nelson. This is a really good program for teaching kids how to read. So please join us at some of our upcoming webinars. Okay, let me see again if I can. There we go. So we're finally there. Let me show you how to access and find more information here. So if you go into the academic skills, listening and speaking, so you click on there. All right, and you're going to come in and you will find here pathways. There we go. There's some things happening here. This is not the way it normally looks, which is a shame. But I'm going to try and share it with you. Okay, I don't know if that link's going to work. This is the link to the program I was using today. Okay, so if you'd like to find out more, please click on that link, or you can just go to our website and search for pathways. Okay, there's also information about Spark on there as well. Let me have a quick look at, before we wrap up, let me have a quick look at the questions and answers. I've got one here from Julius that says, how are we going to mitigate the use of AI in the academic writing, avoiding ethical issues? So I think Julius is asking about cheating, about students using AI to cheat. And this is the issue that people are worried about. First thing I would say, if we're setting our students a writing task at home, we've got to assume that they're going to be using something like this, right? So what I would say is this: if they write something, I would give them a follow-up. I would ask them questions about what they've written. Okay, so if they've written something about AI, whatever they've written about, I'm going to ask them 3 questions about what they've written. And if they can't talk about it, if they can't answer the questions about their own piece of writing, I'm not going to give them a good score. Okay, so this is how I would say it. Maybe they are getting support from their writing, for homework, but if they understand it, they're still learning something. So I'd ask them speaking questions. If you want to do writing where they're not cheating, you've got to do it in class, haven't you? You've got to monitor them, I think, because otherwise they have access. Another question here: what do you think about the more we let AI assist us, the worse we lose people with real knowledge? That's from Rung Tiwa. Yeah, I mean, this is an issue. We're talking about almost like dumbing down, right? So if we become dependent on AI, do we lose our intelligence? I would say this comes back to what we said earlier. We should be using AI as a tool to support us. Okay, we're not using it to replace our intelligence. We're using it to help us. I use AI. What I do when I'm writing something, I write something myself. I put it into GPT. and I ask it, I give it prompts to tweak it, to change it, to make it more concise, whatever. And I do that for a few times until I get something I like, and then I edit what I've got. So my standard writing practice is me, I write, I put it through GPT, I give it prompts, and then I edit and I get my final product. And I get something better than I could do by myself. I don't think it's making me stupid. I think it's helping me do my job better. Okay, right, we're over time. So I am going to I'm gonna wrap it up. All right. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to access that information I gave you there. I can also give you the webinar page. And then I really will wrap it up. Here we go. Webinars, ELT. Let me put that in the chat box for you. There we go. There's our webinar page. Please go and sign up for some more webinars. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, as I said, tomorrow you'll get an email with the recording and with the what is your certificate, of course, your certificate. Okay, so take care, everyone, and I hope to see you next time. If you've enjoyed it, come back again. Okay, invite your colleagues. We'd love to have as many people as possible. Okay, so take care, enjoy the rest of your leap day, and I'll see you next time. Okay, goodbye.